Yes. Episode 13.
Oh. Well, our daughter was born on the 13th of October.
Exactly. We love you, really, but you're not watching this, so it doesn't matter.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
We said last week that we'll look at the paradox of tolerance, so we'll maybe come to that next week. Need to do a little bit of.
You've used it as an excuse to buy another book so that you can reacquaint yourself with Popper.
Yeah, Karl Popper is. It's a very interesting philosopher. His whole backstory is very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Are you really going to read the whole book, though? It's a pretty heavy tome.
Not in the next week.
No.
That's for sure. But I'm going to take it with us when we take a wee jaunt.
Down to Pitlochry.
Yeah. So anyway, read a little bit there.
Okay.
So instead, just do a little bit of a catch-up on some of the stuff that's happened.
News of the day, news of the week.
This week.
Okay.
And there was a relatively young and new MP here in the UK from the Conservative Party. She's an MP for the Weald of Kent, so that's kind of part of the world I know a little bit. And she's actually the shadow minister in the Home Office, so she's really...
Rising star.
Yeah, she's only a year in or so, and already in a position there. Katie Lam is her name.
Okay.
She went to Cambridge, did really well there. I think was head of the union, president of the union, and all this sort of stuff. Went to work for Goldman Sachs for 6 years, and then has been a special advisor, one of these SPADs. For Boris Johnson, Suella Braverman, and I think she supported Robert Jenkins. Is that right? Am I getting the name right?
Yeah, so I guess you can tell where her politics are going to lean.
Yeah, exactly.
From who she's been working for.
From who she spent time with, indeed. So he has been
certainly not to the middle of the party.
No, absolutely pushing the boundaries
right,
to the extreme.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Suella Braverman the same, and Boris Johnson.
And Boris Johnson will do whatever he wants to do in order to get what he thinks will suit him.
Yeah, opportunist.
Indeed. So she was interviewed in the Times this week, and it initially didn't get a huge amount of response, but then I think over the last day or so, there's been an increasing pushback, including Ed Davey, who's the leader of the Liberal Democrats, or another party here in the UK, writing to Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party, asking her to
distance herself.
Yeah,
from what
I can't remember
Katie
the exact
Lam
word
said.
he's using in the letter, but anyway, or that there should be some kind of discipline
repercussions
for the statement. And,
so she said?
Well, it was all to do, of course, with immigration,
because that's
the only topic that seems to be on
it's the
people's
animating
minds.
topic in both the states, and Reform is trying to make it the animating topic here. Yeah. I mean, and of course, it's, as an immigrant myself, it's
exactly
a tricky one for
this
me.
kind of, indeed, it sits closer to home than it does for many people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she talked about her belief that large numbers of people with legal status in the United Kingdom, that's you. Well, I mean, ultimately, that's anyone, right? If you take it to its logical conclusion. But they need to have their right to stay revoked and should, in her words, go home. So this is what she said. There are also a large number of people in this country who came here legally, but in effect shouldn't have been able to do so. It's not the fault of the individuals who came here. They just shouldn't have been able to do so. They will also need to go home. What that will leave is a mostly, but not entirely, culturally coherent group of people. Interesting, huh?
Gosh. I mean, and that, like, they should just go home. I mean, I think we'll maybe talk about it later, but this weekend I was just speaking with someone and had been asked about being American. And my response was, yes, I'm American, but I've lived in Scotland for over 30 years. This is my home.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lived in Scotland for longer than I lived in America. Yeah. This is my home. What do you mean go home? What would I go back to? If I were to go back to the States, I would have nothing. I've built my life here. Yeah. With my family, my job, my friends. I mean, obviously I have friends and family in the States, but this is where I built my life. This is my home.
Yeah.
I just can't.
So that's the point Ed Davey makes in his letter. He says that what Katie Lam said is deeply concerning and unpatriotic. People who have come to the United Kingdom legally, played by the rules, made it their home, do not need to go home. This is their home. And
I love it here. I just can't even... we've talked about it with the kids, and we've said that we're really grateful. Like, I think there was a time that we did kind of briefly think about moving back to the States, and we've kind of agreed that we're really glad that we didn't, and our kids are glad that that this is And to be honest, America feels quite foreign to me now in many ways. When I go back, it just, so many things are so different to life here. The ubiquity of cars, in fact, the necessity of cars and the kind of big box stores and just even the way that the newscasters speak on the news is just not, it's just different. And it just feels, I don't always feel like I don't feel like I'm going home when I go to America. I feel like I'm coming home when I come back to Scotland. And just the thought of being sent back to America.
Yeah. Though, as you have frequently said, it's most folks that would have, in fact, Katie Lam would probably look at you and think, oh yeah,
you're
but
culturally
I don't
coherent.
mean you.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I do remember years ago when we were in Blantyre, the church, all the ladies in the church were going to it was a musical that we were going to, and big bus had been hired, and I was sitting next to one of the ladies on the bus, and I mean, this was literally, must be 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
And she showed me an article from the Daily Mail or something, and it was talking about the immigrants, and immigrants should go home, and they should, and she was showing it to me, and I looked at her and said, "You realize I'm an immigrant?" And those were her words. "Oh, I don't mean you." Right. Yep. And why doesn't she mean me? Well, I'm nice and white.
Yep.
That's exactly why she doesn't mean me. So yes, probably I'm not the target of this. But I know how I'm an immigrant here. I know how immigrants feel. I can't imagine saying to someone who, like me, has built their life here, but who happens to be brown, "Oh, you don't belong here. You'll have to go home. You'll have to go home."
I was listening to, it was James O'Brien on LBC talking about this whole thing, and he was remembering a wee comedy routine that Lenny Henry used to do. Yes. So this is years and years ago. So
he's a comedian, and isn't he? Is married to Dawn French?
Yeah, certainly was. Don't know the current, but from a Caribbean kind of background, family would have been, and there obviously was some kind of similar talk at this time when there was talk about sending people home and giving them some money in order to go home, or somebody had said this, horrendous. At the time, and his whole joke was, someone had come up to him and offered him £10 to go home, and he said, "Oh, thanks, that's great. That'll pay for my bus back to Dudley."
I know.
It's crazy. But so she is fully in line with what Reform are wanting to do, because they're wanting to get rid of indefinite leave to remain. Unless you're rich, basically. Right. So, of course, if you're rich, then you can always just get around the rules. But for anyone else,
so you wonder
they're
if
wanting to remove
jump ship as well. Several of them have jumped ship.
Yeah.
Conservatives have jumped ship to Reform.
Going to Reform, indeed. Yeah. So she,
oh gosh, it's just
she
so
didn't,
sad.
but she didn't. She doubled down on this. So she was on TV with Peston and said, there is a gathering view now, this is Katie Lam, which I subscribe to, that multiculturalism has not succeeded in this country, that what you need is one culture for a country to be a success. Now, you can be a multi-ethnic culture, you can be a multiracial culture, but you need one national culture for a people to live together in harmony and prosperity. So that's her kind of doubling down on what she was talking about. So, and it's this idea of this cultural coherence that she was talking about.
So what is our national culture when we are made up of 4 different nations?
Yeah.
In the UK. I mean, certainly living up here in Scotland, I mean, our kids, I mean, I have British citizenship now, and I would refer to myself, even though I've lived in Scotland, I would refer to myself as British. I have British citizenship, and which is what I have. And you grew up in England and have lived the majority of your life in Scotland, and you refer to yourself as British. Our kids refer to themselves as Scottish.
Proudly
Scottish.
Yes.
And they feel like they're very different than the English, which is something that I struggle with, because I feel like when we start separating into our own little groups, I think I'm the
that's what she's talking about,
quintessential
right?
liberal. When I feel like when we start separating into our own groups and say our group is better than that group, that is the root of a lot of problems. And it's one of the reasons why I tend to be a little bit skeptical about. I totally understand the appeal of Scottish independence, especially with the rise of Reform, the idea, but I tend to be quite skeptical of that idea, because I think that we say that because we say we are better than the English, and I think that people are people, and I don't think that. But you know, the Northern Irish then would have a very different cultural background, and then England and Wales tends to be lumped together. But they're very different backgrounds there as well, and so
they're lumped together. Because, in some ways because
legislation?
Because the way the law works.
Yes. So what's nationally coherent about the UK?
You just need to go back to old maps of the United Kingdom and how it literally was multiple different kingdoms.
Yeah.
And you had the Celts, you had the kind of the
Picts.
Nordic influence coming over. You've all these different influences on it.
The Normans,
yeah,
the Vikings.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, so there's been so many different groups coming into,
and that is part of what makes it interesting. And you travel around, go to different places, you see all this different history from these different and how that still impacts on. When we went up to Orkney or Shetland, you still see the kind of connections to the Nordic. That's there as part of the culture.
Yeah.
They have big festivals.
Up Hellier in
exactly.
the Shetland Islands, which is celebrating the Viking heritage.
Yeah, exactly. So it just seems... So there is you can see in a kind of business context that this cultural coherence, there is something that could be useful to it. So...
The idea, you mean?
Yeah, the idea of a kind of common set of values that you hold. So, Toyota, a big international car company, they have what is called the Toyota Way, which is a interesting
like the way of
replay.
Jesus.
Exactly.
And
it is a coherent set of values for the company and for their workers, so that everyone is kind of working towards the same goal.
Which makes sense.
And doing that, even though you've got multiple different cultures in which these factories exist, that there is within the factories and the understanding of the staff, there is a kind of set, understanding of these are our values as a company that we're working towards.
Yeah, well, even as a teacher, I mean, schools are trying to create certain kinds of cultures, right? And I'm starting a new job on Monday, this coming Monday, which I'm looking forward to. And I was in at the new school, getting things set up. And I mean, it's a very small school, but just finding my way around and looking at the posters on the wall. It just really struck me because so many of the posters on the wall were talking about the importance of kindness.
Yeah.
Right. Which, of course, is what we're talking about here. But you can tell that is this culture of kindness is the kind of culture that this school is and I think any school that I've worked in, the idea of kindness and inclusion and celebrating diversity is, as a teacher, that's just part of the kind of culture and celebrating differences. And my last school, there kind of a unit for children with additional support needs. And so celebrating diversity and including people who are different and differently abled is really important. And right. So I think in any kind of group, you are like having a common culture, but I think you want to think about what is the common culture that she's talking about? Is it right? Because if it's values, right? Why would we need to send immigrants home? Because I think,
that's exactly it. So I mean, it does seem like within the Conservative Party, this has been. David Cameron was talking about this same kind of issue, and thinking about common values and all these things that bind you together. And there is something legitimate about talking about for how people integrate within communities. That there are things that give you a kind of binding agents that hold people together and help a society to grow. But it's when those are being defined by other aspects. So that's where I'm completely losing track of what is going on with what she is saying, because it's not if it's because of certain values, then the test isn't going to be whether you're an immigrant or not. It's whether you have those values or not. And if you don't have those values, then we're going to kick you out of our country. I mean, that's absurd. That's completely bonkers when you put it in that framework. Yeah. But that's the kind of logical consequence of what she's trying to say. Or that is actually not what she's trying to say, and that is the cover. And what she's actually trying to say is, we just want to kick people out of the country who look different to us. Yeah. Or speak a different language, or their first language is different, or
because
whatever
when you're
it might
thinking
be.
about these common cultures, I mean, we were talking about this. Aberdeen is very multicultural. And in all of, the two schools that I've worked in Aberdeen, you have children from a lot of different, whose parents are immigrants and from a lot of different countries, and I think a lot of that has been because of the oil. So you're drawing in people, engineers and people, the oil industry, from lots of different cultures, as well as the universities. So I think, the universities, so you have people from a lot of different countries coming and have brought their families in. So the classes I've taught have had children from lots of different cultures and lots of different cultural backgrounds. Muslim kids, Hindu kids, Christian kids that who come from backgrounds where there's no faith at all. And someone I know in the States had asked me about that. Is America overrun with people who are Muslim, and is that making it really dangerous? And so I was speaking about that. So no, I've taught all of these kids in my class. I meet with their parents, and these kids are nice kids, and they are helping us create the culture of inclusion and diversity and kindness in the schools. And the parents are equally nice. They care about their kids. They love their kids. They want their kids to be kind. They want people to be kind to their kids. Just because their skin is a different color, they're no different in what they want for their children.
Yeah.
So this idea of having to create a cultural coherence by sending people home who are immigrants makes no sense to me if you're thinking about cultural coherence in terms of we want a kind culture. It feels like it's code for we want whites. That's what it feels like it's code for.
If it was legitimately trying to find areas of common ground, there will be areas of common ground, and it just takes some work in getting to know other people, and that's where the integration goes both ways, right? It's so that it's for folks that have been a long time in a community, getting to know folks that are relatively recently coming into a community, so that you get to learn more about them, share something of who you are, and in that way you find the areas of common ground, and that becomes the coherence. That becomes that community coherence that holds people together. So to me it seems like it's all a dog whistle for something else. That's why that phrase is being used, because it sounds, because we can make a good argument for coherence in that it can be good if you have values that are shared, that those are part of what makes a society. That's the whole point of
society that's functioning well.
That functions well. But if that cultural coherence is actually really just a cover for something else, then it adds to corrosion of society.
It does, but I think you also need to ask the question: why are they talking about that? What is that appealing to? And why is that becoming more salient now? Because all of this talk, anti-immigrant talk, as I said, 20 years ago, I had someone sharing a Daily Mail anti-immigrant article with me. So why is it becoming more salient now? Right? What is different about this particular cultural moment that we have a party like Reform who is really hammering the anti-immigrant rhetoric, while at the same time talking about things like getting rid of the NHS and turning that into an insurance-based healthcare system, which I think the vast majority of people in Britain would be against. I mean, that's scary to me. We can look at what they have in the States and not want that. But yet the anti-immigrant, which is the in-group, out-group kind of narrative, is hitting so many emotional buttons for some people that they're either able to ignore or dismiss the actual policies that Reform is talking about that will negatively impact us all. So what is different about this cultural moment? Why is Reform having so much? I mean, they're just repackaged conservatives, and the conservatives have been in power for 14 years, and they've gotten us to this moment. They're just repackaging. Right? It's a lot of conservatives jumping ship. So why are we, I think it's an important question to ask.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's about economics, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's the growing inequality, and so many folks are, as Theresa May, wasn't it, who was talking about those who are left behind, and
more and more people being left behind.
That are not part of the and then you look for reasons for why that is the case.
And the kind of structural reasons are really quite tricky to understand, but if it's the immigrants are coming in and taking all of the doctor's appointments and all of the places in the schools, and they're getting
housing.
Money from the government, and they're getting, so then that's an easy target. And I guess, we can see in the States that the Christian nationalists have been playing a really long game for the past 40 years. So I guess that maybe some of that is, the anti-immigrant rhetoric over the past 30, 40 years is kind of has all been heading towards the moment that we're in right now.
Yeah. Well, that is, I mean, this sort of rhetoric is exactly what you hear coming from the MAGA kind of side of things in the United States. It's very similar sort of thing that's happening. So
again, this is like, and I think I want to bring it back to Haidt's, the moral Jonathan Haidt and his his moral foundations. And you do have, if you are more conservative, you have stronger intuitions about the importance of group loyalty, about the importance of obedience to authority, about the importance of purity. And Haidt makes the point that these are important aspects that allowed human society to develop. And so you have much more, if you're more conservative, you have a much more intuitive response to those moral foundations than those of us who are liberal. So I guess my question is, how do we then say, some of this group stuff and forming groups is important. It's part of what allows society to function and allows society to cohere without falling prey to this, to this really extreme in-group, out-group narrative that we've got going right now, which then stops us from being kind to each other, stops us from talking to each other, and then allows this anti-immigrant rhetoric to grow in certain segments of the population because we can't talk to those people because we're saying, oh, that's racist. It's dog whistles for racism. Racism's bad. That's just all bad. Okay, yes, racism's bad, but then we need to, but these ideas and the emotional resonance that they're having is coming out of pain, and it's coming out of structural structural problems in society that we need to address, and we can't just write people off if we want to have any hope of defeating this kind of us and them narrative. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm not being very coherent here, but does that make sense? It's this whole, how are we kind to people who we really strongly disagree with?
Well, yeah.
How does that?
Well, it's by living it out, right? But this is you're trying to jump us ahead to the.
Sorry, I always do this.
What it means by
thing,
living in a tolerant country. But I think we'll explore that more later because it isn't simple and straightforward, and of course none of these things are the single factor that's involved. So although we're talking about kind of economics, that's only one part of it. There's more that goes into why people make these decisions. And because I know
plenty of Trump voters who are not economically deprived, right? No. So but the us and them narrative is still very strong.
Yep.
So no, you're right. It's multifactorial. It's not just one thing.
And that is the kind of group identity thing it's a powerful motivator, right? So that's all part of it.
Yes, and some of it, thinking back to, this was years ago, talking about one of the countries that's part of the UK, Northern Ireland. I remember watching a video, I think it may have been a panorama show or something, but really about how they were working to break down the Catholic-Protestant divide in Northern Ireland. And they were saying that really you needed to not be siloed in your Catholic community or your Protestant community. You had to find ways for the Catholic and Protestant groups to meet and to recognize that, that we're all just people,
It's interesting that in the parts of Scotland where there are fewer sectarian, there's a division in schools.
Yeah.
Where you have that, you have more sectarianism than in parts of the country where you don't have separate non-denominational schools
Or you don't have as
a
many.
Catholic school, or you don't have as many of them.
Yeah.
Because that is, I mean, that's the kind of cliche here in Scotland is if, the first question you ask someone is which school you went to, if you're in like the west of Scotland, because that defines whether you're Protestant or Catholic, and so whether I'll talk to you or not, whether you're my friend or you're my enemy, which is, so from a school onwards, the tribalism is being ingrained, which is sad. So just thinking about what you're talking about, like how do you then how do you form kind of positive ways forward? Well, I thought last Saturday, so we're actually recording this earlier than usual, so we're kind of middle of the week, and then we'll put it out later in the week. So in fact, I'll probably just put it out now because everyone only knows what'll happen in a few days' time. But on Saturday, there were these massive demonstrations in the United States under the No Kings banner. And what do they reckon? The Conservative, they're saying 7 million. I saw other things of 8.5 million or something like that of folks out on the streets all over the country, over 2,000.
Even in deep red
marches.
States, you had people coming out in deep red States. Yeah.
But it did seem like that was an example of people finding, I mean, it was disparate and diverse, some of the reasons what was motivating people to, like, as part of their life, what was key things that was a driver. But the ultimate goal of wanting to see some checks on the authoritarian takeover that's happening in the United States was that what kind of bound everyone together in what they were doing. And it was, so that's 7 million at least people out there, and not a single, as far as I've seen, arrest for
of the protesters,
of those who are marching.
So I think I read there were maybe 22, 23 arrests of
but they were counter-protesters.
Yes, counter-protesters who'd come in and then
with their MAGA stuff on and all the rest.
So which gives the lie to the Republican narrative that it was terrorists coming out for the No Kings protest. I mean, I taught last week about catching up over Zoom with a couple of friends, and both of these friends were at the protests, different ones. They both live in the DC area, greater DC area, but they didn't go into the mall, but they went to their local protest, and they were saying it was just it was like families were there, and it was a family atmosphere, and it was fun. And one friend sent pictures, and she was saying that she was going to send those pictures around to other friends. To encourage them to come to the next one. Like, this isn't a scary thing. It was it was actually a really good day out. People were talking to each other. There were lots of costumes. There were lots of funny signs. People making their voices heard and, saying, no, we're America. We love America. We want America to remain a democracy. We don't want the executive branch to take over. Just like the founding fathers, they didn't want the executive branch to take over. They put in what they thought were checks and balances, but of course Congress has completely given up their oversight. I
thought the costumes was a genius.
Yeah, it's a great way to
for. So that's all these sort of blow up
frogs
and unicorns and
dinosaurs,
all the rest going around. But it makes the imagery so laughable of folks
these
then
trying
trying to say that this is the worst of the worst out to
I know.
But these are folks that love their country and want to see the best for their country and are having fun, in what they're doing. It was a positive thing. And as you say, that being able to be with others. So, this is This is where it all gets tribal, though, isn't it? You see,
people who see the same problems you see.
Yeah, and then wanting to feel like you're not alone.
Yeah,
and that you're actually there's a positive thing to that. But then do you have the across the
which is what
divide,
Haidt says. I mean,
problems.
Haidt does say that our group identities are important, and being parts of groups are important, and being parts of groups is what allowed civilization to develop, right? If you're not, so there are, and it's that moral foundation is something that liberals don't always acknowledge because it doesn't. Yeah. We don't like the us and them narrative. We want to open things up rather than close things down, but there is something important about groups.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was an interesting weekend for us in particular. Yeah. So, without going into all sort of details about it, but on the day after the No King's March was taking place in the United States, we actually met the King Charles. King Charles.
Yeah.
So the King of the Commonwealth, and it just brought out for me some of the contrasts of what's been going on, but also the importance of sort of definitions of what's going on here.
What do you mean by that?
So what we're seeing taking place in the United States is a move towards what is like an absolute authoritarian leadership. Yeah. So what you'd call in traditional terms an absolute monarchy. So King Henry VIII style kind of, well, even he had a few checks and balances he had to work through, didn't he?
But not many. He could do a lot,
but
right?
He did a lot. But it's that idea of a single person having complete say over everything. Mm-hmm. And basically their whim is everyone else's command.
Yeah.
And that is so obviously where things are headed in the United States. Yeah, for anyone that can take a step back from their tribalism and see the abdication of any checks and balances from Congress, from the Supreme Court.
Henry VIII is a great example. You kind of look at the kinds of things that he was doing. So these monarchies historically, when there was this absolute power, and there's a reason why the saying "absolute power corrupts absolutely" is such a cliche, because it's true, right? When you have this, when we've talked about power dynamics before, when you have this unchecked power, human nature is you're going to take that and run, and you're going to abuse it. Mm-hmm. So of course that's what the protests were about. Whereas of course here in the UK, it's a constitutional monarchy.
Yeah, there's a parliamentary monarchy. It's exactly. So the power of the monarch is restrained by the Constitution. Yeah. So there's a role as far as the kind of trappings of the state go. I mean, there's in comparison to some of the other monarchies that there are in Europe, there probably is.
There's more power
that resides in the crown, but it is still constrained by Parliament.
And of course, King Charles, when he was the prince, I think used to get pushback, didn't he, for when he would give his opinion about things. So, it's well known for years he's talked about the environment. Mm-hmm. And the importance of looking after the environment, and I think there's, he shouldn't be saying anything. And of course he was laughed at. And of course it's turned out that he's right. And I think anytime he's kind of said things in the public sphere that could be interpreted as political, when he was the prince, it was this things were shut down, right? He needs to keep his nose out of it. He needs to not be involved. Which actually it must be really difficult because you have your very strong opinions and if you I thought it's worth kind of outlining that there are different
I mean, there are different forms
monarchy.
of government,
Yeah.
and different forms of monarchy, and the scariest of them are these where it is this absolute, whatever the form is, where all the power resides in one person or one small group of people.
Well, we were talking, I think, in the wake of the 2016 election, certainly on Facebook, there were there was a quite an amusing letter that went around. It was a letter to Queen Elizabeth saying, "Oh, goodness me, could you just come back and take control again? We've clearly messed this up," you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, and actually from talking, I mean, you know, we spoke with King Charles for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And as an American, I have a lot of sympathy with that. Oh, goodness me. I'd rather have someone, someone like Charles in charge than someone like, of course he's not in charge. No. Right. But I think he does meet with the PM every week, doesn't he? To kind of talk about, and indeed. And then actually he's not in charge, but just as.
But it's a ceremonial kind of role and there. And of course the sort of figurehead role for and that provides that kind of folk. I mean, it's different, but they're.
I mean,
I guess we're in that kind of figurehead role of somebody that in a sense provides a sort of leadership for a nation. You are wanting somebody who is going to be respected, right? Generally speaking, that's kind of so that's where I struggled with some of the response to the No Kings March from the White House. It was
oh gosh, it was awful.
I mean, blows your mind. So. I mean, they are leaning strongly into the AI stuff. So supporting
AI slop.
Yeah, supporting the AI industry. But one of the videos being Trump so they really lent into the Trump as king. So that was their kind of satirical take on what was going on. So they had him donning his own crown, putting a thing, and seeing the Democratic leadership bowing down to him.
Oh, I didn't see this
one.
Oh,
have you not seen that one?
No, the one I saw was him in the plane.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a separate one. So, no, There was one of him donning the whole purple kind of gown and the crown, and then you see, like, Pelosi and whatever bowing down before him. And then, the one on the plane is this is where you're talking about the kind of 2-year-old kind of level of things, of flying over the protests and singling out some actual people. A
quite well-known YouTuber, right?
Yeah. In order to
Harry Sissons, I think.
Defecate all over.
Yeah.
The symbology of it all. I mean, it was the president defecating on his own people. I mean, that's kind of the message I got.
They think that's a win, but like we know that monkeys throw
that's chimps what chimps
throw their
do.
poo at each other.
I
mean, and you kind of think, is this the message,
where we're
right?
At?
Is this where we're at? That I mean, it's not. I feel like that video is not the flex they thought it was. Right? I mean, it's horrendous that that's where we are, but it says so much more about.
Yeah. Well,
Trump and the Republican
Party. It says a lot
Party.
more about the leadership than it does about those who are out marching.
Yeah,
yeah.
And again, it's this whole, and I think that's what we're fighting against as well, is when we talk about we need to find this ways to be kind to people who disagree with us. The message from the White House is the people who disagree with us are evil, they are terrorists. We need to literally go to the bathroom on them, right? There is... And so that's what makes
the
this whole thing
psychology
so
of it is quite fascinating.
difficult. But it makes what we're talking about that we need to do to heal our society and try to get onto a better path, talking to people who disagree with us. It makes it really difficult because the people who disagree with us in terms of the situation in the States are being told by their leader that we are evil.
Yeah, they're literally trying to dehumanize.
Yeah, it just makes the job that much harder. We still need to do it, but it does make the job that much harder.
Yeah. I mean, one of the other things that's happened this week is that they've started, even though there's a government shutdown, which supposedly was supposed to shut down a lot of the work that the government's doing, that has not stopped Trump from starting to destroy the White House.
Yeah,
literally starting to tear the White House apart.
That's a historic building.
Well, there's supposed to be rules around what happens to that building.
When have rules ever stopped this administration? Right.
I mean,
in Trump 1, there were guardrails, people that cared about the rules of democratic society and that helped to some extent make Trump follow those rules. But those people have all been cleared out, and he just doesn't follow the rules anymore, does he?
I understand that the president has. They because it's happened in the past. There used to be a swimming pool, right? And that was covered over to make the press room, I think, and there's stuff like that. So there have been changes that have taken place.
Yeah, so I think
there was the building, the creation of the Rose Garden was something
I think
that's taken
internal
place.
renovations are. All the presidents do it, and that's allowed. But there is a process that you're supposed to go through for any kind of major structural changes. So things that would be similar to over here, where you would have a listed building and you can't just make any changes you want to that because it's a historic.
Well, more than that, it is literally owned by the people.
Yeah.
It's the people's house, right? So,
and it's going to be a monstrosity. I mean, I think the current square footage of the White House is 55,000 square feet. And this ballroom is supposed to be almost double that, 90,000 square feet. So it's...
Not 90,000. That must be huge.
The pictures that I saw, it is going to dwarf the actual White House.
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen the pictures. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to look absurd.
Yeah.
Absolutely absurd. So we live in a tied house.
Yeah.
So this is not our house.
No.
We can't just decide to tear down part of the house and rebuild it. That has to be the decision of the people who
actually own the house. Yeah.
So we're in a very similar position to the president of the United States.
Yeah, we could paint a room and that would be fine.
He lives in a tied house. It comes with the job. And so it is astonishing what is going on. Yeah. They have apparently for the offices that overlook it's the East Wing, isn't it? That they're tearing down. That all the folks that have offices there are being told they cannot take any pictures or video footage because they don't want these images to leak out of what's going on. Though you can find them if you want.
I know. Although you've seen several people posting pictures of the destroyed East Wing of the White House and saying this is actually pretty good metaphor for the Trump presidency, which, everything he touches turns to
Well, the thing is, as I know from my gardening skills, it is much easier to tear things apart
than it is to
and
build
destroy
up,
things than it is to create something. So this is the easy bit, and he's obviously getting away with doing it, but the actual building side of it, and of course there's the reason they're able to go ahead with this is because the money is not coming from the government. It's coming from these private donors. So then the whole thing is a tool for bribery.
It's just a giant bribe.
It's all a tool for bribery.
And it's got $250 million, I think. I mean, I just laugh when I think about my family members that got their knickers in a twist saying that Biden had accepted a $5 million dollar bribe, and we've spoken about that before, which the guy who claimed that has admitted
it was all
that
fabrication.
It was fabricated.
Anyway.
But then all of this massive corruption on a huge scale. Trump is now, do you know, now he's insisting that the Justice Department pay him 230. Money. So he's extorting the government.
Yeah, for more money.
It
is a grift.
And we don't care about it. You just see the tribalism is so powerful, isn't it? And it goes, our emotional response to protect people we've invested ourselves in is really strong. It's hard to fight against that. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's probably enough of an update on this week's mayhem. And we'll be back in a moment. Okay, my bit. Well, because, as you said, we were spending this weekend, you actually preached at Crathy Kirk, and the King attends. Mm-hmm. So that's why then we went back to Balmoral with a few other people from the church and met the King. So the last couple of Octobers, we've gone away. We've been in Greece, but because this Crathy Kirk thing was happening, we didn't go away. So we're taking advantage of some vouchers that your mom and stepdad very kindly gave us for our 30th wedding anniversary. Back in January to go stay at a formerly fully vegan hotel in Pitlochry. I think it's been taken over. So it was the Sarosa 1875? Seorsa? Not sure how you pronounce it. It isn't any longer.
It's not any longer. It's been taken over. It's been sold as a going concern. So we are going to go down tomorrow, going to stay Thursday and Friday, and get some vegan meals, although when I call
result
that is sarcasm, by the way. When I called to check on it, because I wasn't really sure if they were still open, there'd been a big thing on Facebook, and I didn't want to drive all the way down there and have it be closed, so that the guy assured me that it was still open, and he was assuring me that they were still fully vegan. But I think they will be moving to a hybrid model. Anyway, so that I'm looking forward to that. It's nice, even though we didn't get away to the sun the way we've done the last couple of Octobers. It'll be nice to get away for a couple of days. And
it's sunny out here at the moment.
And have someone cook meals. And I'm hoping that someone else's vegan cooking might appeal to you more than my vegan cooking.
Your vegan cooking is wonderful.
That again is sarcasm. He is not so keen.
It takes all sorts. Yes,
it does.
Indeed.
So it just
We don't have cultural conformity in the kitchen.
No, we don't. So just a wee quick. I've been vegan for 3 years. We have a couple of daughters who've been vegetarian for much longer. And for years, I didn't. In fact, one of our daughters became vegetarian, having watched some video about kind of the animal farming industry. And I think that got her, her granny watched it, and her granny became vegetarian. And I deliberately didn't watch it because I didn't want to change my eating habits, but then did. Anyway, just as a wee plug, if you've thought about changing your eating habits, both for health reasons and for environmental reasons and for animal kindness reasons, it's worth looking into.
Netflix has got a lot to answer for.
There are a lot of videos that you can watch, and factual documentaries, which is what I just happened to kind of over Christmas 3 years ago randomly watch a video about. It ended up being about health, right? It was the health benefits, which then took me down into the environmental impact of animal farming, and then the impact of it on animals, and anyway. Lots of videos out there. Might want to watch a few, see what you think. I have gotten you to watch maybe one, should maybe try to get you to watch some more so we can have more cultural conformity at home. He's not keen.
Excellent. I still like a multi-diverse kind of society.
Kitchen dinner plate, you mean?
Indeed.
Anyway.
Exactly.
So that's my bit.
Good.
I'm looking forward to getting away. Looking forward to someone else cooking vegan meals for me.
So we've never been stayed in Pitlochry before, so it's a nice wee town, and I think we're going to do rather than just do the motorway drive to it, we're going to go right across the Cairngorms, so right over the mountains here and down that way.
Drop a few teaching supplies off at my new school, which will be on the way. I was in yesterday dropping some stuff off and organizing, but made a list when I was there of more stuff I'd like to drop off before we start on Monday, so drop off.
Yeah. So that'd be nice. So that'd be fun. Cool.
He hopes.
We'll report back next week.
Yeah.
My bit was just to, really kind of following on from some of the things we've been talking about and thinking about marches and demonstrations and people power, people getting together. We mentioned it a few weeks ago, the Scotland Demands Better campaign that's going on at the moment. So the actual march is taking place on Saturday, the 25th of October. And it starts at the Scottish Parliament at 10 a.m. So if anyone happens to be near Edinburgh and wants to come along, you can just come along to it. So it starts outside the Scottish Parliament, but then the march will go from there to the Meadows. And that's where there'll be speeches and music and all sorts of other things that are going on there. So that's been happening. I saw that one of the bands that is going to be on the stage is a wonderful band called Colonel Mustard,
right?
And the Dijon 5.
Oh, right.
So a Glaswegian.
It reminds me of one of the scandals during the Obama administration.
Do you
Dijon
remember? Mustard.
He ordered Dijon mustard. Yes, and that was an absolute scandal. He couldn't relate to the common people. But Trump, who is building a $250 million ballroom on the side of the White House.
Yeah, but think how many cheeseburgers you can fit in it. That's the thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This band, who are headlining on the stage, put out this statement, which I thought was quite good. The inequality in society is what fuels poverty and injustice. Yeah. Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5 include teachers and nurses in our ranks, and we see the difficulties of people living in poverty firsthand and always strive for equality, fairness and respect. We are proud to be playing at the Poverty Alliance March, where we can stand shoulder to shoulder with organisations, trade unions and ordinary people who want a better and more equal society for all, and look forward to bringing the festival atmosphere for a party at the end to celebrate the unity and hard work that has gone into the day. Actually, it says that as went into the day, which is very Glaswegian.
I was hoping you were going to change that.
And I couldn't help myself but change it as I went.
And I wanted you to change it.
But the sentiment, if the grammar's not great, the sentiment, spot on.
Do you know what? Our kids would give us it in the neck for not. That's just the dialect.
It is. That is the Glaswegian.
And we really
it's the Glaswegian
that's
dialect.
us being not very good.
Indeed.
In wanting to change that.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly the EIS, which is the teachers union, has put out posters and things encouraging its members to go along.
Yeah.
To this march, because you see that in the school system, I mean, it's, and one of the things we're wanting to do is to lessen the gap. Like there's always a learning attainment gap between children from who are from more privileged backgrounds, affluent backgrounds, and then children who are dealing with poverty, obviously. So one of the things that, that we want to do is to lessen that gap so that all children are reaching their full potential, not just children who aren't dealing with the hardships that we don't want children to be dealing with the hardships that hold them back.
I was encouraged. I've just seen the kind of headlines. I've not seen all the details, but I was so one of the demands that the Scotland Demands Better campaign had was in relation to currently there is a 2-child limit on the universal credit. So
I thought Labour was talking about.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That I'd seen the kind of headline saying they were. I think Rachel Reeves, the
that's good.
Chancellor of Exchequer, was going to remove that limit because that really did put an unfair burden on families that happen to have more than 2 children and were not getting the support they would need for those who are, and so just thinking about that kind of a universal kind of basic support
for families
that's available for families, and that is
that's
important. Kind of equal across, not that it's capped in that way. So that's good news. So it does show that. Yeah, I mean, keeping on pushing on about these things is important, and that's part of what this campaign is all about.
And it's worth saying that, and we've said it before, while I definitely have some disappointments with this Labour government, they are actually doing some good things. And part of that is in response to pressure, right? And so I think it's really important that we don't lose heart and we don't wash our hands of this Labour government, that we say, these are the good things that they're doing, and we are going to continue to push them for the changes which is what this march is all about. We're going to continue to push our elected representatives to put in these structural changes that will, help people on the margins of society and help, create a more equitable society where people aren't as drawn to these far right, easy answers because their needs are being met.
Easy verbal answers, but not actual real solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. It's good to clarify that.
Indeed. Absolutely. And I mean, you do it for whichever government was, whoever it was. It happens to be Labour at the moment, but who are probably more open to these sort of things than some of the other governments.
More open, right?
Have been, because some of the problems that we have are because of decisions that
made in the past 14 years.
Indeed. So. There we go. So that's us. So we're going to have our wee couple of days break in Pitlochry and then go straight from there down to Edinburgh for the march.
Yeah, should be
and
good.
then I've got a sermon to write on the way home.
All right, so I have to drive.
Well, at least in here, I need to be thinking about it for the Sunday morning. Yeah. Intention though was to reflect a bit on what had taken place on Saturday.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So anyway, I think that's us for this week.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, and thanks if you've subscribed and liked. All positive.
Very kind.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.